Welcome to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower, where we do our best to give you useful information in 20 minutes or less. Now, here's your host, 5-time Voice Arts Awards nominee, David Brower.
Thanks, Ellen. This is David Brower with your 20-minute podcast. Our special guest today from Tampa, Florida is Ebony Vaz. She's the founder and chief strategist and owner of Above Promotions. And it's great to have you on our show, Ebony. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me as well. I've been looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you. You and I as well. So Above Promotions, it says here it's more than a digital marketing, public relations, marketing, tech, and promotions company. That seems like a lot. I don't know how you could be more than that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
what's your focus? What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. So I tell people we're more than a digital marketing or public relations company. And so we focus a lot on technology, storytelling, and consumer science. So what makes the customer purchase? What makes the customer hold off on a purchase?
Okay.
Is it the environment that they're in? And then how do we deliver the stories that we tell? Do we do it online? Do we do it in person? Are we utilizing artificial intelligence to help deliver some of the messaging? Are we also doing market research using facial recognition? So we really focus on bringing together a whole approach to help companies who have already started their marketing process, but they're looking for what's the next step.
How fascinating to combine all of that, all of those expertises, technology, and everything to help businesses grow. You've got a link on your site, which I really love. I like all of them, actually. Your website's brilliant. But it goes through and gives a recap of what you do, basically, and then there's a link that says, I need help figuring out what we need. And boy, isn't that the question of the day for most businesses?
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, it's a challenge to know what's the next step, right? The consumers are moving and their requests are moving, their needs, their demands. It's changing all the time. So, that is a common question. Like, I don't know what I need, but I know I need something.
And too, in this world of immediate gratification and business people trying to keep their eye on the ball and it's just going so fast in so many directions and so much social media that do I do that? Do I do this? Do I do that? So you really, I mean, you get down to the nitty gritty and help businesses figure out in a joint effort with your team how to do it, what to do, when to do it, just all the specifics, right?
Yeah. I like to tell our customers that we work in the lab for you. So we don't want to provide you with a solution and tell you, here, go figure it out. We go into the lab, we figure out the process, how you can implement it, and then we help you to implement it.
Wow.
Right? So we really work through all the new technologies, all the new rollouts that have gone out. I mean, we're anxiously awaiting, like Facebook just made an announcement yesterday on how they're making some changes, so we're anxiously awaiting to get our hands on it.
Well, for sure, yeah. So when Facebook, that brings up an interesting question. It seems like Facebook and Google, I'm sure a lot of others, but Facebook and Google in particular, they do something periodically, often unannounced, where they go in and change their algorithms, and you're going, oh, well, let's check that out. So how do you stay ahead of the curve of those guys? Or do you?
Oh, my gosh. I don't know that you stay ahead of the curve, but I will give a tip for people. As you hear other users start to complain about something, just know that Facebook is listening. And they're going to take that feedback and they're going to already start to work on a solution before they even tell you that they have a solution for what you're talking about.
Wow.
So I think that's a way for people to, if you hear people all of a sudden complaining about the home button and they don't think it's big enough, so you can probably think in about 3 to 4 months, that home button's about to change.
How fascinating. How fascinating. How something can be so complicated, but yet so simple if you just pay a little bit of attention to it. Because like you say, they're listening, they're trying to respond in a meaningful way. And when they're ready to respond, here it is. It's right in your face. Let's go.
Yep.
Goodness gracious. And how about Google? I mean, they're not as upfront, are they? Or they didn't at least used to be. They would change their stuff all the time.
Oh my God, yeah. And it's funny because they will, they're constantly, people think of Google as just the search engine, but they have so many products and product lines out there that they're constantly seeing what is some things that people want to see. They're always retiring things as well when they see that people have gravitated to a new product that they offer. So then they'll start to sunset like an old product. So, we're seeing the sunset of the Google Plus.
Right.
We had to be on Google Plus. Everybody had to be on Google Plus. But
Bye-bye.
that's, sunsetting. Yeah, exactly. And the groups, it just, when they have a product, they put it out there and they want you to gravitate toward it. But when they come out with something even bigger and better that they think can change your life, even if you don't need it, and that's the beauty of technology these days, is it will change you even if you don't need it. It'll give you this desire to want something, even though it's not even mandatory for your life.
Isn't that interesting?
I think that
my gosh,
it is. It is
fascinating. So, and that's how you guys work, basically, right? You're not to minimize it, of course, but I mean, you're in the game. You're keeping an eye on everything and everybody, and keeping up to speed with everything possible to help your clients be as successful as possible in an immediate way as possible without moving too fast. That's a fine line. It's got to be.
It is, because you don't, to take a product or a process, I should say, and then implement it. When it's a smaller company, it's probably a little bit easier. But when you start working with some of the larger companies, it's a lot. It's a lot of resources that has to go and become affected when you start to implement some of these changes. Even just for the small business, going from taking credit cards over the phone to now all of a sudden you're swiping. That's a change.
Absolutely.
And every single change that you make has an effect on your customer, and it has an effect on your employees, the amount of time it takes you to process. And so what we want to do is we want to help figure it out in our lab, figure it out on our end to make it as smooth as possible for our clients. And then so that they're not having to jump and try 20 different things when we've probably already tried so many of the vendors and platforms to kind of have an idea of who's going to give you what at a certain level, depending on your budget and how robust you need it to be.
Wow, that is like unbelievable. I mean, that's a conversation that you wouldn't have had 10, 15 years ago because the technology wasn't there, right? So what brought you to, what made you go, I got a niche here that nobody's doing. Let's jump in with this. How did you come to put together Above Promotions Company? So
when I first started, I was just focusing on a lot of the traditional public relations and marketing. And my undergrad degree, though, is in engineering, and I've always kind of leaned towards it, but not fully understanding how to rein it in and provide that type of added value and solution for customers. And so about 2 years ago, it just kind of clicked to me. And like, I can bring together all of these different things, my understanding of cybersecurity, and because I did research in information security and passwords, so understanding the crisis communications that can surround information security and cybersecurity, and then going to the other end of it of having gone through coding courses and other training modules to help myself to better understand. Because when you're starting off with a small business, you have to learn to do so many skill sets that can help you.
You bet.
You don't want to learn it all, but you want to learn the ones that can really set you apart. And as that started to form, I noticed, I was like, whoa, There's a lot of companies that are doing branding, and that's great. And there's a lot of companies that are focusing on Google ads. That's great. But what can we do that's help companies, large or small, to understand how they can grow their customer base, be more efficient by bringing in these technologies, but also really know how to tell a story.
There you go.
And that is so important to be able to relate to your customers.
Yeah. So when you're,
that's kind of how we evolve.
And if you're small or large, I mean, you've got a vision of some sort, you have a budget of some sort, you have a team or teams of some sort to help your business grow in a meaningful way, at least as well as you know how to do it on any given day. But now everything is getting so targeted. I mean, you really have to drill down and understand a company, what they want to do, what they've been doing, where should they go. Yeah. And I don't know anybody else that does that the way you do. It's fascinating.
Yeah, you really do. It's the space. I tell people that the internet is great because it has allowed us, and technology has allowed us to move much quicker and for more people to become business owners and entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And so with that, some of the spaces become crowded. So if you're a small business or a large business, you can't just take, I'm going to take $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, throw it at the wall and let's see what sticks.
Right.
We have to be way more intentional and then way more targeted, like kind of like a sniper, and being able to say, I want to work with these VPs at this type of company on this coast, with this revenue stream. You have to be more targeted in order to have more effective conversations, and so that you can relate the content that you're sharing with them and your solutions that you're sharing with them on their level.
Wow.
So I think we're forced to have to focus on being more targeted with our marketing than we did before.
And I think part of the issue now, too, and to me, you're way ahead of the curve on this, because so many vendors, it seems like to me, whether they're marketers or whatever they do, they're going, okay, you got all these social media outlets. That's where we need to focus your business. Let's pick on one or two, maybe three that we can do well, and let's spend all your money that way. Well, 5 years ago, that was drilling down, but it certainly is not now.
It is not. It is not. It really isn't. It's you're competing. Like they continue to say, if you ever read up on it or hear, but our attention spans are becoming shorter and shorter.
Oh yeah.
And so they're constantly having to compete with so many different things: our phones, our computer screens, what's strolling on our Roku or our Fire Stick.
That's right.
You're constantly having to compete, and then find that balance and then be tapped in. So it is a challenge, unlike before. And that's why we have to make sure that we focus, we understand that, no, we can't just jump all and put all of our eggs in Facebook, because we don't own the Facebook platform.
That's exactly
not ours.
Right. No.
But how can we effectively play with it so that way we can help our bottom line?
Well, and back in the day, and I'm aging myself a bit, but I was in radio for a very long time, and it used to be when I was training salespeople, we would talk about all the different media, right, billboards and whatever, and we go, okay, you got 3 seconds on a billboard, that's it. Well, Facebook is a billboard. You got a second. I mean, you don't have 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is about, okay, what's going to get my eye? What's going to get my attention? What's going to tell my story? And I only got a second to grab you.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that, because they were talking about that at the F8 show yesterday. I was watching the playback of it, and they were saying how they are trying to shoot for a second, like 1.8 seconds.
There you go.
Of time to transmit messages.
Yeah. That's fascinating to me. I mean, I just guessed that based on the way it hits me, but that makes sense to me. And the other thing that used to be is if you were making a sales call in some way, shape, or form, you knew it was going to take 4 or 5 contacts to have a chance at making that sale, and now it's 10, 15, 20, I don't even know what it is. So the drilling down is like, holy crap, we got to tell a story. We got to build a relationship. We've got to be emotional. We've got to, And we got to do it in 1.8 seconds. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. I was just talking to a colleague today about how now the cycle for that sales time we're looking at almost the 12th time or the 18th time of, even depending on how large that product amount is, before you can start to get traction to say, okay, well, let's talk numbers.
Yeah.
We're talking after 12 to 18
Are you kidding me right now? Yeah.
Yeah, we're floating at about 12 to 18, depending on the price tag of the product or service that you're offering.
And that's why more and more people are going to Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know what I want.
Yeah.
I can find it on Amazon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're right, because even some of the products, like before, if you wanted a server or something for your company, it was a big deal. You had to pick up the phone, you talk to your rep, and they would probably come out and give you a show of what the server can do. But now it's like, I need another server. Amazon, new egg. I need a new server.
Yeah. Oh
without even talking to anyone. So we've definitely, the landscape of purchasing by consumers and the time frame has changed. I mean, greatly.
And continues to change daily.
Exactly.
So, my goodness. So, folks, you need to, small, medium, or large, it's worth your time to go to abovepromotions.com. And their expertise in storytelling regarding media and influencer campaigns, branding, crisis communications, spokesperson training, content creation, media buying, creative direction, public relations. Wow, that is a heck of a menu that is important to a lot of businesses, no matter what their size. And for you to be able to put all this together in a couple of years and have an extremely talented team to make this happen, that's a gift to business. People need to check you out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet. You bet. So if people want to reach out and learn more about you, is it abovepromotions.com? Is that where they go to find out about you and where the little epiphanies might hit them?
Yeah, exactly. They can go to our website there and they can see all the cool things we're doing now with facial recognition and some other things. And then I'm very much an advocate of networking and creating really good relationships with people all over the world. So I'm very open to connecting with people on LinkedIn as well. So they can connect with me, Ebony Vaz,
nice.
VAZ, on LinkedIn as well. And
you're also, if I remember reading correctly, you're also doing some teaching of some sort with businesses in Israel. Is that right?
Yes. I am an instructor for Jolt. It is a company. They started with their location in Israel, and then they opened up a new location in London. And so I teach over the internet to representatives from various local companies there to multinational companies like Deloitte and others.
Nice.
And I teach them on target marketing.
Wow.
Getting their target audience.
And also, last but not least, you're also an author of a book titled Because You're Small, Effective Marketing Strategies for Immediate Implementation. That's got to be a must read. Where can people get that on, pardon the expression, Amazon, or where do they go?
Yeah, I believe that it is still, because the book is a little bit old, but I know that Barnes & Noble and Google still sells the book, so you can find it on there. I'm not sure if Amazon still has it or not,
but do the search for it, folks. Because You're Small. That's all you need to put in. Just Google Because You're Small, and the rest of it will show up. Ebony Vaz of Tampa, Florida. My goodness, congratulations on your many gifts and your ability to share the science, technology, and expertise to help businesses grow no matter what their size. It's fabulous what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Listen to Your 20-Minute Podcast with David Brower on the go. Downloads are available on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, any podcast app, and on our website at davidbrowervo.com/Your 20-Minute Podcast. Until next time, thank you for listening.